Those who will cook the food will benefit. Those who will sell food will benefit. The agriculturists will benefit. Everybody will be able to benefit from the homegrown school feeding program.
Will the federal government achieve its plan to feed all primary school children under its new social welfare initiative for free feeding? That's our big story on TVC Breakfast this morning. Hello there. Thanks for joining us for the Friday edition of TVC Breakfast. I am Ngozi Alebu.
Top of the morning to you, and Busola Mituashi also coming up for discussion.
Don't do anything. There will be restiveness by the coppers, and it will disrupt the entire system, and it's not good for us at this time. So I think it's a very serious matter.
Should the National Youth Service Scheme NYSC be scrapped despite all the challenges the scheme is facing? That's the topic for discussion on Talk Time.
TVC Breakfast discussions begin in a moment. Stay with us. All right, hello everyone. Once again, Busolami, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We're talking free meals. I mean, it's exciting to hear the Vice President say that, you know, those who will be cooking will benefit, and it's going to be a knock-on effect, a positive one.
Indeed. When you hear things like this, you wish you were a child again, really, where
to benefit from all of those.
You'll be fed in the
Yes.
school. And it's really something we should talk about, and it's worth talking about. But beyond that, we have to look at the ripple effect. The effect on the child, the educational effect, the economical effect, and
Indeed.
of course, quite a lot of effects, really.
Absolutely. We'll be looking at all of that, and we'll be taking a look at how it's impacting on the different states where this program is already running right now. But before we do all of that, let's have Kemi Folade join us for the news. Good morning to you, Kemi.
Good
Do you
morning.
wish you were younger now?
Good morning, Ngozi, and good morning,
Good morning.
Busolami. Definitely good to be here with you guys. To the news at this time, the Edo State governorship primary of the People's Democratic Party is turning out to be the new battle space for the divergent interest in the party. A few days after the primary that produced Osage Ezeyamo as the party's candidate, Alimodu Sheriff's faction has set up a committee to conduct a fresh primary. Factional chairman of Nigeria's main opposition party isn't only talking tough, he's also not ready to give ground in the fight for the control of the party's structure. There's been a running battle between Alimodu Sheriff and Ahmed Bakarafi. The situation has led to the shutdown of the PDP Secretariat. Senators of the All Progressives Congress and Labour Party in the Senate have passed a vote of confidence on the federal government. In a news briefing to counter the opposition People's Democratic Party, the senators and their allies defended the anti-corruption policies and other programs of the Buhari-led government. Well, normalcy has since returned to Maiduguri after a gun duel between the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police at the main gate of the government house. Investigation is ongoing at various commands of the Nigerian army as well as the police in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The gun battle ensued when the Borno state government was distributing rice to ease the hardship on its residents. A car full of soldiers forcefully stormed the heavy guarded gate but was stopped by the policemen. This resulted into a hot debate between the soldiers and the police officers, and later in the day the theater commander of Operation Dole told journalists that they had a meeting with the State Commissioner of Police and the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima to intimate him on the matter. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has commended the Federal Ministry of Transportation for taking on the task of issuing standard operative procedures and launching the Port Service Support Portal. He stated that the delivery of this project is clearly a major achievement in enhancing improved predictability and transparency of the system. The Federal Ministry of Transportation has launched the Standard Operating Procedures, the SOP, and a port service support portal for government agencies, operators and stakeholders at the Nigerian ports. Well, the two devices will serve as a well-defined mechanism now for both operations and integrity tests, while fostering accountability and serving as a corruption prevention tool. The Nigerian Senate has passed the 2016 budget of the Niger Delta Development Commission to the sum of 241,114 million naira. The budget is 19 billion naira less than the 260 billion earlier presented by President Muhammadu Buhari. The House of Representatives, in the meantime, has also approved 241 billion naira. That's the 2016 budget for the NDDC. This was after the report of the Committee on NDDC was considered and passed for third reading. The breakdown shows a personnel expenditure of 17.5 billion naira and an overhead expenditure of 9.98 billion naira. The internal capital expenditure and development projects stand at 1.3 billion naira as well as 212 billion naira respectively. The project's development expenditure is shared among the NDDC head office, regional projects and 9 states in the Niger Delta region. Finally, at this time, a senior advocate of Nigeria and a human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, has faulted those accusing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of wrongdoing in its freezing of the account belonging to Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose. Falana, who was addressing lawyers during the Nigeria Bar Association Week, said Governor Fayose may even be prosecuted for money laundering and criminal diversion of public funds. He urged lawyers to be partners in progress and not supporters of impunity and corrupt practices. Interesting there. Well, that's news update at this time. Let's hand you over back to Ngozi and Busolami.
All right. Thank you, Kemi.
Okay, let's start off discussions with our first big story for the day. Kaduna State is one of the few states in Nigeria that has started the homegrown school feeding scheme. The scheme is known to have been successful in Osun State since 2012, and it is still achieving the purpose for which it was set up.
Now, the federal government is encouraging more states of the federation to embrace the initiative in order to encourage children to go back to school. Let's take this report from Kaduna State and see how schools have embraced the initiative.
During his electioneering campaign, the Kaduna governor promised to provide a meal a day to pupils in public primary schools in the state. Nasir El-Rufai was voted into office and he delivered on his promise in January this year. The project was initially received with cynicism from different quarters. But the project, according to parents spoken to, was a vision they never saw.
Some parents, they have some relief in feeding their children, most especially maybe breakfast or lunch, something like that.
The major reason why they are there is because they cannot afford private schools, and then for them to get feeding, I think it's a good thing.
We have seen a lot of things in El-Rufai's policy. Let me be very honest with you. If His Excellency is not doing well, I will say it, unless you don't want to hear it, but I will say it. But on this thing and the thing that we are seeing, El-Rufai is actually taking Kaduna to a better position.
It was projected by the government that the initiative would be the bait to woo out-of-school children and boost enrollment numbers. And so we took a trip to some public primary schools in the state. We arrived by break time at the first of such, the LEA Primary School in Ongwarimi area of the state capital. Amazingly, the environment was heaving with children full of cheer. The sight of our cameras led to an overflow of their joy as they gave us a rousing welcome. Break time was soon over, and I sought to hear from the pupils how it has been since government began feeding them.
The time that I am in primary 1, they did not give us the food. The time that in primary 6, they give us the food. Now that I am feeling fine.
The next port of call was another school just meters away, and the story wasn't different. It became glaring that going to school is now a delight to children in Kaduna State. The teachers declined making comments on camera. They told us off camera that apart from the school feeding initiative, the free education policy now operational in the state has also boosted school enrollment. The pupils could not hide their feelings.
Children are now coming to school very well.
Very well,
Yes.
Monday they bring yam and egg sauce. On Tuesday they'll bring rice and beans with orange. On Wednesday they'll bring beans. On Thursday they'll bring moi moi. Then on Friday they'll give out juice and biscuits.
Beyond free education and the feeding program, hundreds of the schools are now wearing a new look. They now have toilets and boreholes, with overhead water tanks ensuring that the water needs of the pupils are taken care of. That's not all. Furniture is now being provided for the pupils. Governor El-Rufai says he would continue to run an open-door policy with ears ready to listen.
Don't tell us when we're doing the right thing. Don't praise us. We don't need your praise. We need you to criticize us and tell us when we are going in the wrong direction.
School time was over and it was time for us to take our leave. But unlike the pupils who headed for their homes, we visited the governor's media aide to hear what's next in store for the kids. And Samuel Aruan said more was underway.
With this feeding and others and other package that follow the scheme, we have a monumental increase in school enrollment of Kaduna State. So far, we have over 600,000 pupils who are rushing to acquire free primary education in Kaduna State.
A state of emergency had been declared last year by the governor on the education sector in Kaduna State. Children in the state and their parents are grateful to the government. Beyond education, Nasir El-Rufai and his deputy Bala Bantak say they remain committed to the vision of making Kaduna great again. Tessem Akende, TVC News, Kaduna.
All right, talking about free school meals, we have joining us via Skype the Director of Information for Osun State, Samuel Okonlawon. Good to have you on TVC Breakfast this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And of course, our reporter is in Kaduna, Tessem Akende. He joins us via phone this morning also to talk about the school meal program. Good morning to you, Tessem.
Hi, good morning, Governor.
Yes, let me start with Samuel Okonlawon. Well, Osun State started this program very, very praiseworthy in the eyes of many people who've been observing. But how has Osun State been able to sustain this in the light of its, very meager resources?
Yeah, thank you. It's true that Osun, just like many other state federations, have faced very serious financial challenge in recent times. But since we are committed to that program, we believe that there's nothing that is going to stand in the way of its proper implementation. Don't forget that this was a program that started much earlier in 2006 under the federal government, but which we reviewed upon assumption of office in 2010. This program was reviewed and it was relaunched in the state of Osun in 2012. And since then, we have not looked back in the proper implementation of the program. And that is why Osun remains like something like the flagship of that program in the entire country. And that's why even the governor of Osun, Rauf Aregbesola, on 2 occasions has been guest of the British Parliament through the Partnership for Child Development to come and share his experience on the implementation of this program and how effective it has been. I think so far so good. It has remained a major program of this government, and we hope to continue in spite of everything. And that's why even the governor of Osun, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, on 2 occasions has been guest of the British Parliament through the Partnership for Child Development to come and share his experience on the implementation of this program and how effective it has been. I think so far so good. It has remained a major program of this government, and we hope to continue in spite of everything.
All right, Tesem Ekonde, let's talk about the success of it or the lack of it in Kaduna State. How would you rate the program, the food program?
Well, it has different, I would rate it fairly okay because the governor wanted to boost enrollment numbers, and that has been achieved to a very great extent. You go around the primary schools and the numbers are just increasing on a daily basis. And apart from the feeding initiative, education is now free for pupils in the primary schools in Kaduna State. And so generally, just to add to the feeding initiative, the government has achieved to a very great extent its objective of ensuring that the school numbers has really been increased upon. And there's a target for the government. By September this year, precisely from September 1st, it will be an offense to have any child of school age on the streets hawking or begging or doing anything of such, because education is now free and you are provided a meal a day, all thanks to the government. And so it will be a crime. It's been signed into law by the governor, it's been assented to by the governor, following a bill that was passed by the State House of Assembly. And so generally, the government is ensuring that education remains a top priority on its scale of preference. The governor, has been a lover of education, so has been his deputy, who are all first-class graduates, by the way. And so one would not wonder much why education has remained at the front burner for the Kaduna State government. But generally, to answer your question in more specific terms, it has gone a long way. Of course, it has received some criticisms from different quarters, but the government...
yes, very, interesting reels that you've given us there. But this program seems to have received a lot of knocks and, of course, praises. But tell us about the knocks, first of all, and why exactly are people criticizing this program in Kaduna State?
It has received a lot of knocks. I was heading there, averagely, the Kaduna State government spends over 300 million naira every week on the school feeding initiative. Some critics believe this would have been channeled to other areas, to actually bring about development in the state. In some of the schools as well, of course, infrastructure has been provided, the boreholes have been provided, and other stuff. But generally, people believe about 315 million naira or thereabout is being, spent every day. Of course, the government believes it's its responsibility to fulfill what it had promised during its during its campaigns, and so they are trying to follow its manifesto to the latter. But they believe, some critics believe, that amount is too huge, and so parents, although parents believe it's actually helping out to feed the children, but generally the critics believe over 300 million naira is too high an amount to be burnt on feeding children. They believe that before feeding them, the children were not dead. And so why not prioritize? Why not, channel that to other areas? But the government still believes it's not demonstrating the fact that it will stop at any moment from now. So generally, that's how it has been here.
All right, let's go to Semiu now in Osun State. We understand that now Before it used to be 50 naira for each pupil. Now you have 250 naira. Walk us through how 250 naira will feed a child comfortably, even one meal at least.
Well, thank you. On the review of the entire program, we saw that well, for it to be much more effective and then for it to serve the purpose for which it was reviewed, to serve the true nutritional values for which it was established, we believe that the quality and the quantity of the food served to the school children must be something worthy of it. And that was why for each child that's benefiting from this scheme, you have, I can tell you that every week, you have about 15,000 chickens, whole chickens consumed by the school children. You have over 400 tons of fish consumed by the children. You have about 252,000 eggs consumed by the kids. And you wonder, well, in each home, how many homes really are able to afford these for their children? And we believe that serving this quality food is essential for us to achieve the aim for which it was established. I can tell you 25% increase was recorded in the school enrollment as a result of the home meal program. I could hear my colleague in Kaduna talking about some of the challenges they have had, whether some people have criticized the implementation of the program and saying whether they could even channel the resources being used for that. If you want to test the popularity of a program like this in Osun, just fly a kite that government wants to stop it and go and see what is going to be the result or the response of the people. It's been a very successful program. That's why Osun remains the best example, the best illustration in the implementation of the school program. And so there's no wonder why the federal government is using the Osun template as a template for the implementation of the nationwide program.
And this is, scheme. Yes, coming to the federal government, of course, taking this up and looking at the Osun success story. Now, there's always the issue of continuity. Let's assume, a different government takes over from Osun, for example, even at the federal level. How do we ensure that this laudable program, in your own words and in the words of other people, continues, so that we don't have another government coming in and stopping it or, moving on to a totally different program?
Well, nobody will cut his nose to spite his face. A new government, the best way to become unpopular in a state like Osun is to stop a program like Ome. I tell you, the best way to become unpopular, because this is a program that no family in the state will say is not a beneficiary. There's none. I can say it categorically, that there's no family that is not a beneficiary of that program. So if you say you are going to stop such a program, whether you come into government and then another government takes over, and you consider skipping such a program, people are going to revolt. It's the program that has gone so well with the people. And you see, that is one thing that has encouraged education, that has encouraged people to take their children to school, that has encouraged even, I can tell you, the chairman of the NURTW in Osun made it one very important, though it didn't appear so important to many people.
All right, Samuel, still staying with you. Hold on a second. Samuel Okolawon, just hold on for us a second. Now, this project is costing Osun State about 3.6 billion naira every year, if I'm correct, or otherwise, just let me know. So, I mean, like I said earlier, my very first question was, how do you hope to sustain this? Osun State has problems with salaries not being paid. Workers are going on strike and all of that, just like other states. So, I mean, 3.6 billion, wouldn't this have gone into more sustainable projects that will still rub off on the school children eventually?
Let me first of all correct one impression. There are no workers going on strike in Osun. I can tell you that, and we do not have any problem with our workers. And I can tell you that, as I'm talking to you, Osun has paid its salary up to March this year. And if you look at the mode of payments and the sources of payments and all that, I'm talking about even the source of revenue, which are majorly from the federal allocation. This is June. We are now in the middle of June, or more than, okay, today is June 23. I'm sure even the allocation for May was just decided how many days ago. So if you look at that, if we have paid salary up to March this year, that is commendable in view of the grinding economic crisis in the country.
All right.
Given what the other states are also are facing. But be that as it may, I just wanted to correct that impression that up till we have paid salaries up to March this year, contrary to what you said. But I can tell you that in terms of sustainability, a program like this has its own ripple effect within the society. When 3 billion naira enters into the economy of a state every year, you know what that means. It percolates down, and it's something that affects so many other sectors, because the whole meal, the school feeding meal program, is a multi-sectoral program. It affects agriculture, it affects health, it affects women affairs. I can tell you that at least 303,007 women are catering to the needs of these school children in our schools in Osun. If you take that out in terms of employment and all that, you know that this is huge. And these are the direct employment generated by OMID in Osun, 3,007 women. There are other ancillary allied jobs that were also created along the line. If you also look at the area of agriculture, all the food items being used to provide the food for these children, they are also sourced from local farmers. Poultry farmers, you can't be a poultry farmer in Osun and be a poor man. Your business must be growing.
Okay, Mr. Semiu, many thanks. We'll come back to you, but we have joining us right now a public affairs analyst, Professor Chris Nwokobia. Many thanks for joining us this morning on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining
us. The homegrown feeding program for the Nigerian government, and of course, asking the states to buy into this particular program. Osun is just saying it's paying off. Do you agree?
I think that the gentleman you just have been talking to scored the bullseye when he said that if you do the program, it will percolate to every strata of society. The market woman will benefit, the farmer will benefit, those who cook, caterers will benefit. So I think that it is profoundly going to create jobs in the informal sector. I do sincerely think that we must put it in proper perspective too, that the federal government hasn't asked the states to mandatorily get involved with the project. The federal government is saying, if you want to partner, come along. If you don't want, we will do it. And
the federal government said they're going to give 60%. 60%? That's what the federal government says.
No, the target is particularly primaries 1, 2, 3, and perhaps 4, where it's possible.
In the case of Kaduna State, we've heard the government's plans to bring in 60%. That is actually going to reimburse the government of Kaduna State. But it takes more than free meals to attract pupils to school, which is the main thrust of this program. What are the other things you think government, whether at the state level or the federal level, should be doing to not only encourage students, pupils, to come to school, but even in providing these meals for them? How do they ensure that these meals are actually nutritional at the end of the day, that you're not just, feeding like, you feed prisoners today in Nigeria, where you just give them beans and water?
No, I think that what happens first is that we must take into cognizance the fact that most of our kids are malnourished, and government is trying to see whether it can help the poor take care of their kids impliedly. And then the second is they need to make parents who are otherwise uncomfortable, who are otherwise insolvent, to send their kids to school. And Osun is a test case. In Osun State, they're saying that people are coming to school. In Kaduna State, is saying that the enrollment in school is quadrupled. And I think that beyond naysaying, what is fundamentally important is the fact that the positives far outweighs the negatives. What worries me and bothers the carapace of my mind is the fact that with the lean resources everywhere, I hope government can sustain this laudable program. But whether we like it or not, I think that the benefits are profound, and I do sincerely believe that the skepticism about whether it can actually encourage people to enroll in school is unfounded, because it will. You know, when you're sure that if otherwise you cannot afford a good breakfast for your kid, and you're sure that that kid will be fed in school, then you would want to send your child to school. You know, those are fundamentally important issues.
Well, there are reports of a case in Kaduna where pupils actually, you know, fled schools after eating these free meals. But we'll come to that. We're going out on TVC Entertainment right now, but our viewers there can continue with TVC Breakfast on TVC Nigeria on Concert Channel 190, DSTV 418.
Go TV, it is 45, and SA TV, it is 510.